Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Fitz11, and welcome back to a follow-up on the Pokemon North American International Championships that happened this past weekend. Today's Tuesday, so hopefully this goes up tomorrow. Just wanted to thank you guys for the last video. It was well received, and it seemed like you guys were kind of interested in the topic and in the team builder. So thank you all. Thank you for the well wishes. And I was pretty happy with how I played. If you guys were in the comment section for that last video or on Twitter, I went 5-4 at the International Challenge, which wasn't enough for day 2. You needed to go 7-2 or be one of the top resistances in 6-3. So we just missed out. We could have played probably a little better in a couple of games, but that's just mostly on me, just getting more experience at this game, and just playing better, playing within myself a little bit more, taking my time to make moves, and definitely could be better in the future. We're looking at the Philadelphia Regionals in, I believe, September. Probably is the next tournament that I'll attend, and between now and then we'll probably have some VGC content on YouTube, play some streams on Twitch. I'm planning on streaming on Twitch hopefully tomorrow, Wednesday, which might be the day you're seeing this, and try out a Drapion team on Pokemon Showdown. I think Drapion has a very good typing for this metagame, and has some pretty cool moves. So we're going to throw it on like a typical Salamence team in place of the typical like a Moongus, or more offensive would be like Nalhago. So I think he can have an impact, and with his ability and moveset, being a physical attacker won't be a detriment. But we'll find out more about that in the next couple days. This is basically just going to be a quick rundown, hopefully pretty quick, of the rounds I played, what I could have done better. I won't try to go too deep into my opponent's teams for their sake, but just wanted to be like a high-level overview of what I did, what I could have done better, and where I was just outplayed, or where things just went wrong. So if you didn't check out the team builder was from last week. It should be my last video. Basically, it's centered on Whimsicott Terrakion beat-up strategy, being supported by a bunch of offensive mons, and Incineroar being another support mon, but having the Sun from Charizard as a way to actually pick up some surprising knockouts, which is nice. Alakazam was the 6th Pokemon that we kind of threw on there. It had been Lopunny, it had been Venusaur, and I considered Bisharp at the last moment. I actually considered changing it the night before, but I think I probably should have gone that direction. Alakazam was there mainly for Gengar matchups, and we didn't face one Gengar matchup, which we'll get into in a sec. We did find a couple times to bring Alakazam, but the other useful thing it was brought for was to outspeed Scarf Adamant Landorus's, and the only time that came into play ended up being a Jolly Scarf Max Speed Landorus, so Alakazam was one shot, and we lost, I believe, the game, but not the set on that one. So we'll go quickly through the 9 rounds. As you can see, almost every team brought either at least single Intimidate, but usually double Intimidate, usually being Landorus and Incineroar. So round 1 we played a local talent, Michaela Young, who had Landorus, Incineroar, Tapu, Snorlax, Milotic, and Gardevoir, which was a pretty interesting team. I think Gardevoir was one of the ones most impacted by the nerf to Pixelate and Aerolite. I think the second tier Pokemon like Gardevoir, like Pinsir, really were affected the most in their viability, because we can still use things like Salamence, but the lower tier ones from the 6th to 7th generation really got nerfed to the point where it's tough to bring, because of they're not packing the offensive punch that you would hope that they can bring to a match. So basically what we learned on turn 1 of the game was that Landorus is a Scarf, and it was some sort of mixed set we learned that it had Sludge Bomb and Rock Slide. It was able to take out Whimsicott game 1, which put me on the back foot immediately, but I had enough offense, and a Hyper Voice crit from Gardevoir left Charizard after it had been weakened at 1 HP, so we got somewhat lucky even with a crit against us. We were able to pull it out very closely. I believe it was like a 2v2 situation with Koko and Charizard that I just had a lot of offense for to close out the game. And then game 2 was a 4-0. I forgot to Mega Evolve Charizard-Y, but I was able, I believe, just to lead that in Whimsicott and put a ton of pressure on right from the first move. So that was pretty much that. I believe actually it was Charizard Incineroar to negate the Sludge Bomb from Landorus. So pretty cool game. There were probably nerves at the start, but Sludge Bomb isn't something that you can totally prep for. So well played by my opponent there. But we were able to pick up the 1-0, and here afterwards things went south for a bit. So round 2 we played Trevor Lang, who I believe is somewhat well known within the community. He brought Incineroar, Garchomp, Aegislash, Mega Venusaur, Tapu Fini, and Cresselia. And this was a pretty interesting team. Garchomp you don't see a ton, but it does pack a big offensive punch and seem to be like the main offensive threat on his team. And in game 1 we were able to get the victory pretty handedly, and then in game 2 I was actually able to set up Whimsicott Terrakion. Terrakion was at least +3 or +4. Is 1 Intimidator, so probably +3. And it came down actually to a double protect by Garchomp. I thought I had a free close combat into it to pick up the knockout and leave him on just Cresselia, I believe. And that would have definitely sealed up the game. I could have just Rock Slided. It wouldn't have picked up the KO on Cresselia, but double protect is something I should have been more aware of, and maybe just go for the Rock Slide and do a lot of damage, and then possibly be able to clean up with Charizard or Tapu Koko. So that probably would have been the better play. But also, you know, I believe at that point I really did have like a 70% chance to win the game, and then the only chance to lose was on a double protect. And then game 3 I got outplayed. Venusaur proved to be a lot for the team, especially the Venusaur Aegislash combo. I can either bring Charizard or Alakazam, which is one of the flaws with the team, why I don't really like Alakazam that much, but I can't reliably take down both Aegislash and Venusaur with both Pokemon. Aegislash had priority, which was able to take out Alakazam in the third game. I had to kind of bank on the fact it wouldn't. Most don't, but it was good tech, and probably really good for like a best-of-1 situation. But I didn't get to see it until game 3, so well played by my opponent there. Definitely felt like I could have won it, but it is what it is. So then round 3 was against Darren Cooper, and the hacks was really accentuated here, both ways. So in game 1, so he had, Mega Salamence, Tapu Koko, Amoonguss, Cresselia, Incineroar, and Tyranitar, so I think we faced Incineroar every time. Not too much Landorus, which is nice. And Salamence, Tyranitar was kind of the main offensive threats, which we can take Salamence on, especially with Koko. And his Koko didn't have a ton of offensive pressure, which was good. But in game 1, it was Tapu Koko Cresselia versus Terrakion Whimsicott. And this is kind of a flaw with the team, right? So I have to scout for Electrium Z Tapu Koko, which can KO Terrakion right away. Definitely a play that they can make. So I could just Tailwind first turn, and then hope that Whimsicott's still around, wasn't double targeted, and beat up the second turn, and proceed to sweep from there. Alternatively, I could beat up on the first turn, hope that I live with Terrakion, since usually only one Pokemon at most will outspeed, and things like Gengar and Tapu Koko without the Z move can't KO it. It actually has some decent natural bulk. We can actually check. Yeah, so 90, 90, and then 91 HP, which is pretty nice. So it's kind of a mind game I have to play with myself more than my opponent on that one. And I went for the Protect Tailwind, which is kind of the safer play, especially in game 1. But I believe Koko just attacked into Terrakion, no Z move or anything, and Cresselia went for Ice Beam into Whimsicott for just a little bit of chip damage, but it did freeze, and I was unable to unthaw, and I really didn't think switching would have put me on the back foot, and my Pokemon in the back were pretty frail, so I would have been knocked out more than likely. So it wasn't a great situation to be in. So then in game 2, I was able to basically win by hacks the other way. I believe they were Heat Wave crits, and I might have gotten a flinch as well from Rock Slide. I don't remember exactly how it went. And then in the third game, I was just kind of outplayed between some of the Trick Room shenanigans and getting Tyranitar set up. So it is what it is. It was a weird set, and you know, if I had gotten not hacks the first game, I think that would have helped a lot in securing the victory. It was the first time at a best-of-3 situation that I had lost in game 1, so I was happy I was able to win game 2, even if it was somewhat lucky on my part, but was unable to close out. But it was a different situation for me. Usually the stuff I bring is very good in best-of-1s, and that my opponent can't really prep for everything that I have coming to it. So that was pretty much that with Darren. I believe he finished around 500, same as me, but I thought the team could have gone farther in the tournament, in my opinion. So at 1 and 2 now we are facing Blaine Campbell, which went all 3 games. He had a Azumarill, Charizard, Tapu, Koko, Incineroar, Kangaskhan, and Landorus. And basically Whimsicott was the MVP here by just being able to Encore Azumarill and Encore any protects as well, and not fake outs. Kangaskhan's fake out. Yeah, I did Encore that as well, not Incineroar since it's Dark type. But interesting team. Very offensive as well, but Whimsicott was probably something that he didn't have an answer to, and I was able to set up Terrakion in at least 2 of the games and win. So pretty standard there. So we're back to 2 and 2. We had to win out to advance. And we faced Nathaniel Christmas, who had a team that you know, I know some about, but I didn't know enough probably to for a land situation. Should have probably practiced more against this type of thing on like a Pokemon Showdown or on Battle Spot, and try to get as many of these games so I know exactly what's coming. But he had Smeargle, Celesteela, Gastrodon, Tapu Lele, Blaziken, and Mega Salamence. So pretty interesting team. He only had to bring 4 Pokemon both times. Led with Smeargle, Tapu Lele both times. And had both Wide Guard and Follow Me, which is just mind games, I guess. I had to play with Whimsicott Terrakion to break Focus Sash and kill Smeargle first turn. I also could have Z-moved into Tapu Lele for the KO, but I went Rock Slide. Should have realized that and played that better. At least trade knockouts is better than losing Terrakion and being on the back foot from the beginning. Wasn't able to recover and lost in 2 games there, which wasn't totally happy about. Actually, that was the 3 and 2 matchup, wasn't it? I totally skipped one. I wrote 1 on the back. Round 3, round 4. Okay. Round 5 was a pretty quick win against Sebastian Knapp. He had Landorus, Clefairy, Tapu Fini, Charizard, Snorlax, and Kartana. The only interesting thing here was that Clef followed Mead while I was trying to beat up Terrakion and took the beat up. It didn't affect the game. I was able to knock out Clefairy in 1 hit and then beat up the second turn. So pretty easy. Kartana, I tried to threaten me the second game, but don't believe it was max speed, so Terrakion was able to outspeed. So a lot of Kartanas right now aren't running max speed, but which I realized Terrakion could take advantage of, and I didn't have to like protect their Tailwind to try to figure out if it was max speed or not. I was just told myself that I'd be willing to take the risk each time. So then I was 3-2, lost to Nathaniel Christmas on the Smeargle stuff. Just have to play smarter and realize what's coming in the future, so I can do better there. And then Benjamin Roots, I was able to get back to 4-3. It's basically just trading wins and losses, and he had very interesting team. Tapu Koko, Rotom Wash. Rotom Heat won the whole international tournament, but he had Rotom Wash, Naganadel, I hope I'm saying that right, Landorus, and Stakataka, and Mega Medicham, which I always like trying out. It's just not in the best speed tier base 100 for how frail it is. But very offensive team, kind of like mine, and revolves around Landorus, actually, oddly enough. So we traded the first 2 wins, and then I was able to win round 3, I believe, with Tapu Koko in the end, once I was able to KO Landorus. That was actually the key to success. So I believe the game I lost was against Scarf Landorus, where Alakazam couldn't outspeed it. So that was something that I prepped for, and then they changed the game on me, basically. So Alakazam loses a lot of its usefulness when things can still outspeed it, and if people are actually looking at that speed tier to outspeed, that becomes a problem, and why Timid Alakazam isn't even good enough sometimes. So that is what it is. And round 8, I believe we were 4-3 at this point. Yeah, so we're able to get to 5-3. Finally strung a couple wins together. Again, went all 3 rounds, and I was able to win game 1. So I still won a lot of game 1s with my shenanigans. This guy, Christopher, had Tapu Lele Metagross, which is pretty common. Then Charizard, never got to see it. Landorus, Nilhego, and Amoonguss. So Nilhego was interesting. I think my team has enough to defeat it, but it's close. Whimsicott Terrakion's kind of nice against it, so it's kind of a must-bring, because the others can't really do a ton. Incineroar is fine against it. With Assault Vest it can take a hit, which is nice. Just can't let it start beast boosting up and win. I believe Nilhego won game 2 for his team. So this was kind of the time that like I have to protect Terrakion and Tailwind Whimsicott before I beat it, but that's kind of the way it is. So yeah, he just brought all offense against me to counter my offense, which makes sense. It was just that I was able to outspeed most of his things, besides Tapu Lele. So pretty cool games. One of my favorite sets of the tournament. And then the last one was against Austin. I'm gonna mess up his last name, Forcinito, I think. Sorry about that, if he's watching. But he had Cresselia, Landorus, Ferrothorn, Salamence, Heatran, Tapu Fini. I was able to win the first game off of, I believe, Tapu Koko shenanigans, and he won game 2. I need to win more game 2s is really what it comes down to. And then in game 3, very close set. I had Whimsicott actually saved in the back with Tapu Koko by the end. I believe I had them both at the beginning and then switched them both out. And it came down to that against Tapu Fini and Cresselia. We actually had the Electric Surge up, and we were able to fake tears Volt Switch Tapu Fini for the KO, and then Volt Switch wasn't enough with Fake Tears to take out Cresselia. Looking back at it, I could have Thundered and given myself a 49% chance to win if I connect both of them with the Fake Tears, and it would KO Cresselia. I also underestimated how much damage Cresselia could do. He had only shown Icy Wind up to that point, so I wasn't sure what else he would have, and Psychic actually did like half or more, so it was probably a pretty offensive Cress. if I remember right, unless he got a crit or something. But he was able to two-shot me from like 75% or more, which isn't, I wasn't sure if it would do that much, basically. So Thunder would have been my out, and why I run Thunder on Tapu Koko with choice specs, since it's kind of like just an extra move slot. So something I could have done better there. I might still have lost. I might have missed both and looked silly, but I believe there's also a point where Cresselia went for Toxic while in Misty Terrain, which didn't do anything, and I'm pretty sure I had Whimsicott out in the third game. I could have encored that and been able to close out the game from there. I'm not sure if that's exactly how it went down, or if I needed to fake Tears the Tapu Fini at that specific turn for the KO instead of encoring. I probably should have gone for the encore regardless, since how much damage Cresselia is capable of. So probably a misplay there, probably something that I could do better. Just have to kind of think that through and take my time, since really I never went below like 3 minutes on the timer, mainly because the team plays really fast and is very short games, but also probably because I play a little too fast with my moves. So something I can work on for the future. Like I said, I'm going to try to attend. I already signed up for the Philadelphia Regionals, which is right in my wheelhouse, like an hour and a half drive, probably on a Saturday. So excited for that, and hope I do well. I finished the year in 2018 with 2 championship points from the online challenge in June. I was able to get into the 1600s, so I was able to get a couple points there. And at the mid-season showdown and here, I came up short, pretty close though, and I think that's a good sign. I think I can, in the coming tournaments, get a couple of those losses back and possibly make top cut and get some points. So that's the idea. If you have any questions about the team or would like to use the team yourself, let me know. I know I promised the QR code if you want to play for it on BattleSpot. Please let me know in a comment if you're still watching, and I will make sure that I get you that link. Like I said, I'd probably switch out Alakazam for something like Bisharp if I had the chance, or Mimikyu. But I was looking at Mimikyu, doesn't have probably enough attack to satisfy me and pick up the knockouts that I need. So anyway, I'm going to end it here. This went on much longer than I expected, but I really do thank you guys for all your support, and thank you. We'll keep the ROM hacks coming, but I'm also going to be streaming VGC just to kind of practice and try out some new teams, since I've been running with this team for a while now. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you all later. Bye-bye.